All right, welcome to the Cam and Joe podcast. This is episode number 9. Today we are talking about the law of attraction, but more specifically, what we would do if we were already seriously filthy rich. How are you today, Cameron?
I'm doing good. I'm bummed out because they don't have any of these specialties here in Nevada that both Fred Meyer and Safeway went to today. Wait,
what happened?
To it. So it's here in Nevada, the beer.
Yeah.
They make like some seasonal ones, which Celebration, that's a Christmas one. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not out yet, but they have one called Tumbler. It's like a fall one. It's really good. They didn't have that there either.
Dude, have you ever had their, it's like a frickin', what's that horchata flavored beer?
I don't know what you're talking
about. Yeah, so Sierra Nevada has a
horchata
flavored beer. It's pretty good.
I'll definitely
also, just to mention quickly,
it.
Mention our sponsor, GetRichRetire.com, your source for wealth, passive income building, and lifestyle related to rich guy stuff. And Sport Formula 99, go to sportformula99.com. They make a exclusive line of cold pressed supplements that have 100% live enzymes that absorb instantly. I use all of their products and I'll probably live to 200. This is not backed by science, but that's my personal opinion. Yeah. So, and Cam and I were kind of just kicking around ideas for a podcast. And I was like, you know what I've been thinking a lot lately? I was like, what the F would I do if I already had like, 8, 9, 10 figures? And I was like, I have no idea. Like I really need to start thinking about that so that I can like use it as an attraction vehicle. And then I was also thinking, I bet you there's stuff I would do that I could do now. So like, I know you and I were kind of kicking this around, but when you do like think of that stuff, what are some of those things that you have on your like rich guy lifestyle list? Like what's your day-to-day look like when you're worth $100 million?
So I think for me, the biggest thing is I definitely want to start like a charity or a give back. I think something that would also be similar to, I mean, not like a whole Shark Tank production, but I like the idea of basically like loaning out money to entrepreneurs.
Ooh.
Because we all know when, if you're 20 and you go to the, like, ask for a student loan, of course, they'll let you get hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, no problem. But if you went to a bank or something when you're 20 and say, hey, I need $10,000 loan for like my small business idea, they're not going to give that to you. It's very difficult. So I think with that, especially when you have that kind of money, it's very easy to like, these riskier projects of kind of giving back and helping, young entrepreneurs kind of get their businesses off the ground type of thing. So for me, that would be kind of my day to day, to where I'm not just sitting around all day, not doing anything, but still giving back and still also the opportunity to earn profit or equity in these companies if they become something.
Okay. So they could be, so not just profit driven. It's like you're also giving young entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs who are like genuinely trying to make it an opportunity to make it.
Yeah. Even if, the business plan maybe is not that solid, maybe some feedback that you can help them to, or even if it sounds solid, but it ends up not turning it. If you just feel from getting to know them and spending like time around them, kind of the way they think of like, all right, this maybe has a low chance of succeeding, but putting a couple grand into this person's pocket to help them get this off the ground. If that becomes a learning experience for them, if they fail at this and then their next iteration is better, to me, that's worth it.
So there's a function of that that's pro bono, and then also a function of it that's profit seeking. That's cool.
Yeah.
I would love to be a VC. I definitely didn't think of it as in such an altruistic way, but I do think that that's an interesting angle. All right, so that's cool. I actually, funny enough, didn't think about any charity stuff. Like I was like, I don't know what it is. I know they say like give money away or like charity is a good way to like increase your attraction, but I'm like, not that I'm anti-charity, but I don't know, dude. I'm definitely not a charitable person if I'm being real.
And there's other things that you could do that maybe wouldn't fall as charity, things that you believe in that are like ideas. Like I have this crazy idea, right? Like I'm into conspiracy stuff, and I read this book once called like it's by, I can't remember the guy's name. Last name's Lloyd, I think, but it's called Everything You Know is a Lie, or something like that. It's basically about talking about evolution and that, like, how unexplored the earth actually is as far as like being surveyed on ground. So I forget, only like 70% of the United States even been surveyed by air. Meaning,
really?
Like, yes.
That's crazy.
It's
Well, it's like when
even,
they find those like Aboriginal tribes.
Yes.
I don't know what countries, but like they're like hidden from technology for 200 years, and like someone accidentally floats in there with like a cell phone, and they have like a brain aneurysm because they're like, to go from like sticks and maybe like, I don't know, Stone Age to modern age, the gap would just put your brain into like, the only way that you can even rationalize that would be like, think that they were gods or like evil spirits. Something, it would be something in the terms of like some specific. You know what I would do though, and it's actually something I've thought about. I'm glad you brought I'm glad you brought up that charitable angle. I'd love to like help kids who, it's like you don't get to decide where you're like born or like how you. It's like no one's fault for being born. Like I feel lucky to be alive, and I want everyone to feel that way. But like giving people that like don't have a chance to like go have an awesome life, maybe like if they do well, like you can send them to college, like scholarship stuff. I think that would be cool, and I'd be like down to spend money on stuff like that. Like it's not a lot, but I like, you know, like, so on Amazon you can do smile.amazon.com. And you can pick a charity and it'll donate like a portion of the money to the charity. So I think I do like Save the Children or something. So that's probably a cause to get planted. I also love trees. I'd love to plant 1 million trees. But really the first few things I thought about were more like about having like a badass like house and like a giant warehouse. I was like really all like selfish things, to be real.
Well, before
giant warehouse filled with cars and
yes,
like a ball pit and like cool offices, a big gym. I would probably do a lot of like personal development stuff, but the whole point of like the thought exercise was to try to, like, if I don't know what I'm going to do when I have what I want, how am I going to attract what I want? Like, I'm sure I could still get there, but I think this is a really good way to cut the line and then use like, you know, be in the vortex for 10 minutes a day and try to attract these particular items.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying, because it's hard to like, if you're all over the place or just kind of like, I don't know, I'll figure it out when the time comes, but that's not very productive, right? But at the same time, don't go to the extreme opposite where you're obsessing about all the time, like in fantasy land, more constructive of like, okay, you know, you want to, because the biggest thing about hitting money that like much, becoming that wealthy, is your time is now free, right? Like you don't have to do a 9 to 5. Now you have all this available time to you. So part of that could be, even if donating money is not really something that like you're big into, maybe donating your time and providing that through, you know, consultations as far as like business, entrepreneur, like things that you're interested in that way, I think would be a good. And again, you don't need to be wealthy to be able to do that. You could start setting the foundation for that now, to where even if you're like this podcast is a perfect example, right? It's a way that you're volunteering your time and money into providing this information out free to people.
Yeah. We're basically like borderline saintly human beings because of this. And I think you're right. It's really, a lot of it comes down to, okay, what the heck am I going to do with all my free time? Like I had, we were supposed to go on a trip. We had like 4 days off, and our dog got really sick. He's fine now, but I did nothing. It was like a staycation, and I was like, I golf, but like that takes up like a couple hours. You can't like play like, I mean, at least me, like I can't play like 72 holes a day. Like my body would be in pieces. So like one day I golfed, and then I had a bunch of free time that day. The next day, like I don't really play video games that much anymore. That was a big way that I was kind of burning through time before, which it's fun, but like also like, I don't know, it's, I drift in and out of thinking that that's a good use of my time. And that's what really led me to this thought exercise. I'm like, I need to be busy, but I'm not going to want to work like a 9 to 5 job. So what the hell am I going to do? And so I think a lot of it would be like trying to seek enlightenment, but like that's outside of like maybe having to go to some crazy trip to Tibet. I think you can do a lot of those types of activities now. Like it's a lot of that is like free. It just like read. I probably read a lot. I could do that now. Like a lot of stuff outside of having a $100,000 car, I could totally do now. And even that I could afford, but I'd be broke.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a wise decision, right? If you invest that money instead, then it's going to pay off like, 10x, 100x down the road. So a few things to catch up on, many things that you said in the comments I want to get out. So I'm going to rapid fire these at you. But I think something awesome, an idea that you could do is like an annual golf charity event, celebrity. And again, this is, if you're donating large sums of money to good causes, like other athletes or celebrities are also doing the same things, right? And that's how you meet people. And then you get put on the boards of these foundations and things like that. And that's how you network and start becoming part of this. And then when you have fundraisers and things like that, because you support other people's fundraisers who are part of those board members in this circle of people you meet. So it'd be the same thing as like,
so I'd be going to like fancy dinners all the time.
Yeah.
I have like so many tuxedos, dude. I love that idea.
And then it could be like Joe's annual celebrity, whatever, athlete or entrepreneur golf, whatever event, you know what I mean? So you could host something like that. So you can turn like a passion of playing golf, like into something fun.
That's really cool.
You get to meet people. Plus you could always invite interesting people that you want to get to meet and know, right? Get in the foursome, put them in your foursome, then you get to chat with them for the whole, 18 holes or whatever, a couple hours. And then back to the other thing is like, there actually is a modern day island. I think it's in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka. That is like native people that have never seen outside presence. Like they have like a no fly zone and like boats aren't supposed to go there. And occasionally, like every now and then a boat will get too close to the island. Like some idiot that's like, I want to go see these tribes people. And some people have, I think, got on the island. The tribe people like killed them. Like they have spears and stuff and they're just like intruders. So that thing still exists. And then another like fun thing I would like to do, because I'm really into pinball, is to host like the largest pinball tournament in the world. And I don't necessarily mean by like machines or players, but high stakes, like the World Series of Poker, where you win like a ton of money, right? Like the main event in Vegas and you get the bracelet, something legit like that, but for pinball. And the winner, cool. Like,
especially if you incorporated like,
the winner gets like $100,000 and a free pinball machine of their choice. Like,
how big is pinball? Like how, like
it's
in
worldwide.
The community?
I think I don't know how many ranked players there are in the IFPA, which is like you get official like world rankings when you play. My guess would be like 60,000, but of those that are actually active, maybe 10,000.
And there's like tournaments and stuff?
Yep. They have a state champion. Can you make a living
doing that?
The prize money is not that great. Plus you have to pay yourself to fly those places. There's like sponsors aren't really a thing, but there's a US championship that the winner from each state goes to represent and they play. The last few years goes in Vegas, and they do a world championships that's usually somewhere in Europe, like Italy or something like that. And the representative from each country goes and flies there and compete. And at those levels, you win like pretty decent money. I mean, maybe like 10 grand or something like that.
But so if you were like maybe in the top 5%, you could make enough money to like live your life.
I don't think, not to live.
Maybe the number one player makes enough money.
No, cover your travel expenses. I mean, some of the top players in the world have gotten hired. Yeah, to like do programming. Like one of the guys who was the computer programs who got hired by the main company Stern to actually start like programming new machines that come out. And then another is a top designer, stuff like that. It's definitely hobby. There's no way you could like.
Well, I think a lot of those companies also make like gambling machines, I would assume, and that's how they make majority of their money. Or are they like in other spaces? They just essentially like a bar sports company.
These ones like Stern is strictly only makes pinball machines now.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and there's the market for it. They're the largest and the number one in the world. They come out with like 3 new machines a year, but the machines are expensive. Like the lowest entry level now is almost $7,000 for one, and the highest is like
$12,000
or $13,000.
I remember there was a kid I played soccer with when I was younger, and when you're a little kid and you like ask what are considered like uncomfortable questions, and they had like a brand new sick ass like Star Wars pinball machine. They had like a video game, and like an adult man, or like an adult couple can afford shit like that if they have like, it's a good, good jobs. But I'm pretty sure they were well off anyway. So I'm like, are you guys rich? How much was this? And the dad was like, he's like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. But I was like pretty stoked on that. So it's like, especially when we were kids, like now I think it's more common because arcades aren't really as much of a thing. But having like in your house arcade stuff was for like kind of like bougie people only. Like you had to be kind of a baller or a big enthusiast, I guess.
Well, now with not to dive too much in pinball, but barcades and everything have made like a big comeback with microbreweries, and there's a lot of them everywhere.
Arcades are fun. I love
and
those.
The home arcade market has grown a lot too, but pinball almost died in like the late 90s. You could literally go out and get pinball machines for like a few $100.
What?
So at that time, a lot of these people who were really into it bought machines and things like that. And even top machines at the time were maybe like $2-3 grand. And now those machines are selling for like $15,000.
Damn, it's crazy.
So some people spent like maybe 15 grand to get their collection, and now their collection's worth several $100,000 because it's become so popular, especially when COVID hit. People weren't like traveling or spending excess money eating out all this stuff, and they're like, we need entertaining stuff to do at home.
Yeah, I got all this extra money. What can I spend on?
A pinball machine, like let me buy that.
Dude, there's what was I gonna say? What were we talking about?
We got very off on the tangent. I was hitting these rapid fire. The last rapid fire thing I was going to say when I started talking about the unexplored areas in the United States, so that actually been surveyed on foot is super low. It's like 40% or something less than that. I forget the exact number, because like 95% of 98% of people live within 100 miles of a coast of an ocean around the world, because that's where most people like, get like fish out of the ocean, that sort of thing. That's where all the major cities are.
Sure.
So much of that's unexplored on the internet. What kind of crazy shit can you find there, right? So my idea is like literally start a company where you hire a bunch of land surveyors, and then you obviously need like people who can survive in the wilderness and security personnel, but basically going and like mapping and charting out these unexplored areas. And I'm sure you also find a bunch of cool shit like old hidden cities that
what would be the purpose? Just for funsies, like to
just because I'm fascinated by that stuff, and I'll be an eccentric billionaire, and why the fuck not? Or something.
Okay, so it's kind of like how,
and it's also helping, right? Because we might find cool shit out there. I'm sure the military and things like that probably got areas they don't want you going.
Oh yeah, well then you probably come upon those, and it'd be pretty easy to notice. There'd be a fence like miles outside of anything that matters. But I wonder if you even find like, I don't know, resources, precious minerals, just rando stuff would be kind of cool. Historical
Bigfoot. I mean, who knows what kind of weird shit might be out there?
For sure is out there. Do you believe any of that stuff, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster?
I definitely think that there's stuff in the ocean that we haven't discovered. Probably weird creatures, or maybe prehistoric creatures that we thought.
I think that's likely true, especially if you're talking like at so depths big and like so low that. I mean, even when James Cameron went down to the Mariana Trench, I don't know. I mean, how long was he down there? How much surveying did they do? I honestly don't even know, but I could definitely see there being a shitload of stuff in the ocean we have no idea about, just because it's really hard to navigate underwater.
Well, and there's some interesting stories you can read about, like people who've been in the Navy, especially submariners, and sonar people, who they're like, we've seen some shit on sonar that like we don't have anything that can travel that fast or change direction like that underwater. And some of the sounds they've heard and things like that, they're like, we don't know what the fuck that is.
So you think there's like alien
crazy
or just some sort of creature that we're unaware of?
I think it's possible it could be both. I mean, if there are
not necessarily an alien craft, it could be like an alien species.
Or both, yeah.
Or one or the other, yeah. Or even like a native species that we're just so unaware of.
If you have super advanced technology for like spacecraft and stuff, it makes sense. Why build a base on land where you could be discovered? Just build a base in the ocean where no one will find you.
I've never thought of that, but that makes so much more sense. Of course, you would want to be underwater.
And there's a lot of military.
It would be so hard to get discovered.
Of people seeing craft going in and out of the ocean. Not to get way off on UFO shit, but there's a lot of unexplored area.
That makes sense. I never thought about that. That would be exciting. The place. It would be that, or like in one of these areas in the middle of nowhere that you're referencing.
Yeah. So there was I forget who the guy is. He was filming a nature documentary. I think it was like the oceans or something like that. Very famous producer, like film producer and cinematographer. Him and like whoever the number 2 person was, they were like filming some special about the ocean. I think it's come out already, but he said in an interview, you can find the record. I have to find this stuff to show you, but he was like, yeah, we're down at the ocean and we seen this weird like bubble layer, almost like another layer of water under the ocean. And we marked the GPS, like we want to go back to investigate, but it appeared to be like some type of impenetrable force field, but was liquid, like some weird shit. And then like 3 days later, him and the dude died in a helicopter crash. It like exploded in midair. I mean, I'm not, maybe it's a coincidence, but it seems like he's seen some shit that they don't want people to know about, and they fucking took him out.
So the aliens did, or maybe the secret society or whatever the heck it is?
Government or whoever was like, don't want people into all that. But anyway.
That's so crazy.
I know we're getting way off on a tangent. Back to the main topic. Like, so for me, that would be things I think would be fascinating for me to like bide my time and charitable.
Yeah, it's just essentially what are the things that you could fill your life with passion and joy? And if it's doing like expeditions, I was going to say like the eccentric billionaires who like want to climb Everest, like why? But it's like, well, what the hell else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Something to do. And it's pretty cool.
Challenge yourself, right? If you feel like you've conquered everything else you want to do in your life, you're like, all right, what other kind of crazy goal can I accomplish?
That's where I think the concern for me is because when I was transitioning in between jobs, I had like an extra time. I had like more time off than I'd had in a really long time. And I lost my effing mind. Like I was like starting fights with Abby for like no reason. I like almost like got into like a physical brawl with a guy in like the parking lot of my gym because he like cut me off, and then I honked him and he flipped me off. I literally like floored it and like followed him, and like he like had already pulled into a spot, and I did one of those things where you like drive by and stop and then back up, and then I like floored it down the thing, and I was like, what the fuck, bro? And I was like, I had no problems to solve, so I was like, I just need to like fixate on stuff and create problems so that I can like solve them or like keep my mind busy. I think I'm not addicted to stress, but I'm like just addicted to solving problems or something. So I think that's really what it is. It's like, and then I was like, oh my God, like I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Cause I started getting scared. Like I'm never going to attract that life if I have this desire to be busy, like solving issues.
And I think that's some type of human condition too, to where it's like
your audio cut out.
You have to. Oh, really?
It should be good.
You good? You can hear me? Yeah.
I get lower.
No, I can hear you. Okay.
Hear you.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You're good.
I think it's a human condition to where like you have to stay occupied. You have to have something constructive to do on a regular basis. Don't get me wrong. Like I love playing video games, and I think even then I could, I would want time like aside to do that occasionally. But if you just did that every day, all day, and sat on the couch just watching Netflix all day, like first of all, you don't need to have any money to do that. Many of people do that and they're got nothing. So if that's what someone's ultimate goal is, like knock yourself out, just jump right into it. You don't need anything to do that. But like you said, you'll go crazy. That's why I think it's good to have something instructive, whether it's like earning, it doesn't really matter if it's earning money or not, right? It's just something that you enjoy, that you want to do, because at that point, like you don't need more money. And another thing is like, so in order for cryptos to really take effect and reach values that some of them should, and people think they will, there has to be a change in the financial system, right? Because the old system is not working. In order to convert to a new system, a lot of people speculate like, there needs some changes. Some of those changes are going to wreck things, people's pensions, like economies. It may be a very different lifestyle and world after coming out on the other end of that. So I think for me personally, I look at it as like being in that situation to, let's say that hypothetically did make millions and millions. I look at it as my responsibility to help kind of rebuild the systems and help out where I can on the other side of it, being in a position to where, financially you're like doing really good and like really far ahead of people, if that makes sense.
What would be really cool too is to be able to just like, you're a crypto whale or, whatever, you have all this dough, and like some like every time a new coin gets listed, you're like, meh, you throw like $1,000 at it. And you could do that like 100 times and you're like, whatever. And then one hits and you make it all back times 10. Like I think I was thinking about that the other day because, randomly like cryptos just pop off. Or like if I had a F ton of money, like I think Doge is going to start doing really well because Elon's going to add tipping to Twitter and he's like the king of Dogecoin. And so I'm like, oh, I should probably like throw some dough in there. But I'm like, it's kind of it's a very speculative investment and would rather put my money elsewhere that I know is going to be more lucrative. But I think being able to like do stuff like that or like, I don't know, sort of on topic of what you were saying, but I was thinking about that earlier today, just to be able to like take shots.
Yeah. You could be more aggressive in investing in things, right? On a side note.
It's like right now, like if I want to buy some, like the market's low and I want to take like speculative positions, like I wanted to buy Alibaba, but like, so I bought I'll buy like maybe like a couple $100 of shares of companies when I'm like, all right, they're low because I don't want to bet my whole nut. Like you're never supposed to put like more than like 5% of your money into anything like that. Any one position, let's call it 10% max. But like my Twitter holdings are up 30%. It's not a life-changing amount of money. But if I had like an extra 10 grand and just throw at stuff like that, I just made 3 grand like overnight. That would be cool just to be able to like, yeah. Because then you can just flip stuff really quick too, where now it's like you got to play the hold game, which is fine, but it's fun taking profits.
Mm-hmm. And back to the Elon thing, I was thinking, because I had that same, it's so funny. We literally are like thinking the same stuff every day. When you said that, I was thinking about that today too. And I was like, yeah, I could see him doing Doge, but I'm like, wait a minute. If I was him, why would I push Doge? Like he already made a lot of money, I assume, on that because he had it low and then, pumped a lot from him talking about it. Why not pick a different crypto that is super cheap and he could have a ton of it and then also pump it basically. Not that I'm saying he's trying to intentionally do that, but what's another crypto that also has an Inuit dog logo on it and is super cheap right now? Oh, SHIB. This is not financial
Shiba,
advice.
Or there's Shiba
Inu, yeah. And people are like,
he's called Elon.
Yeah, he posted
Inu.
Yeah, they're like, he posted a picture of an Inuit. It's Doge. I'm like, it could be SHIB.
They both had like a big pump because now like Shiba and Inu like kind of have similar trajectories. They like mirror each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like when he bought Twitter, it popped. So did Shiba, and then they like are slowly getting sold off by the smart people. It's like it's funny because a lot of those coin valuations are from the bag holders that get FOMO and then buy at the top.
Yes.
And then it goes down and they're like, well, I guess I'm an investor in this coin now. Like, dude, I held on to so when Shiba went nuts, was that last year, 2 years ago? I made like a few grand. And then I was like, it's never going down. It's going to go to $1. I'm going to be a bazillionaire. This is a coin that has like limited prospects. Yes, it's now featured in like some really popular like mobile gaming ecosystem. So it'll probably slowly rise, but like for it to get to $1, it was like logistically mathematically impossible in an amount of time that was reasonable. So inevitably it crashed. And so had I just been like, cool, I made a bunch of money and move on with my life, because the ecosystem had no backing that was viable, I should have just been smart about it. But I just, you go on a hope and a prayer and you get excited. But then I bag held for like a good year until when the market crashed this year, I got a big ass margin call and I was like, fuck Shiba. And I just got rid of it. Like very big. I think I lost like 50% on it. But that's another thing is, what was I going to say? Speaking of crypto, XRP. So Coinbase just jumped on the bandwagon. So there's like a coalition and I forget the name of it, but it's essentially a lot of these like top like coin tokens and or coin providers like Coinbase, Bit
exchanges,
Binance, stuff like that. And so they're all like kind of coming together to like fight the SEC because their basis is, okay, like you just all of a sudden decide, you know what, we're going to sue we're going to sue Ripple because they did this thing. But there's no regulations in place. So in theory, you and I could own a crypto company, do everything we think we're doing right, and then get sued out of nowhere because there's no regulations. And that's kind of how we want it. But then there should at least be a set of guidelines where you're not going to get some egregious lawsuit that has like essentially an unlimited budget come against you.
Yeah, exactly. I think they realize like, hey, we're going to get picked off one by one. Like they've already done it with some of the other ones. So they're like, this is our chance. We better like all band together, like all for one, right? Basically, like
how the hell did Ripple have so much money? Like how have they been able to weather this
like
lawsuit?
two years ago or so, they did a third round of what do you call it? Like
ICO
valuation. Yeah, they're still a private company. But when they did that last one for raising funds for like third round, it was, I forget the exact amount that they got, but it basically the amount they raised valuated the company at $10 billion.
10B? Okay.
Yeah, which would immediately put them, I think, this was before like all the FANG stocks and the markets like gone like crazy since COVID with the pumping of the valuations. But at that time, it would have put them, I think, top 10 in like countries, or I'm sorry, in companies in the country as far as evaluation. And
that's pretty cool.
The rumors are that like when the lawsuit is over, they're going to go public. But they basically use that round of funding
Ripple
to pay
will
off,
go public?
Yeah, pay off all the other like early investors.
So how will that implicate the coin itself?
It shouldn't, because
or how affect, I should say, not implicate.
I don't think it will, because they're separate. Like Ripple itself sells like bank software and things
and
separate
XRP
from
is just...
XRP and the XRPL. So and they also have a few other products that they sell that are unrelated to that. Obviously, though, they also hold.
So Ripple is just the creator of XRP. They're not intertwined.
Correct, because it's decentralized. So like there's enough other nodes and things that have popped up to where
the network.
Yeah, it's like
can you control the network if you have the majority stake of the coins?
No, I don't think so. You could sell, right, and try to crush the price, but if it's being used to like transfer all payments across the globe, then like
how does Ripple make money then?
Selling their computer software. They're a software
and that
company.
Enables banks to use RippleNet.
It's separate from that.
Or use the ledger or whatever.
They have one that's able to use the XRPL and like that on there, but I forget the exact one. But they have separate other software that's like versions of Swift and things to help banks. It's like stages, right? If a bank's not fully comfortable jumping to like the XRPL and using like, super fast and all that, they have earlier kind of baby steps they can move them through with their software as far as making
maybe like
things simpler for them.
Port over their existing Swift, but it's like adjacent to the ledger and it like is faster, but it's not like fully decentralized or something.
Something like that, but it's not. From my understanding, it doesn't have anything to do with the XRPL. Like, I used to know all this stuff really well, like probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I was really like absorbing a lot of it, but I forget many aspects of that now. But anyway, so back to like,
my camera.
Money is like unlimited, and
okay. So all of a sudden you have $100 million.
Yeah, so you have some. We've talked about hobbies and things like that you can have, or things that'll be constructive parts of your day to go and do kind of a routine. Like, but what would you like to go out and, you said you want to have this huge house, and I know you shared some stuff offline about, kind of offices / gym, things like that. Do you want to share?
Yeah. So, and again, like I think what is important about the exercise is that you're essentially getting an idea of what you would do when you are where you want to be. And I think in the absence of that knowledge, it's a much slower road to getting there. But it's like using a vision board, right? It's like you can look up and go, there's me, there's my jet, there's my big house, there's my cool car, there's my perfect partner, whatever. And holding that image along with the positive feelings that go along with it is essentially in a nutshell how you attract things, right? So that's kind of what the thought exercise spawned from, me being like, oh shit, I need to figure that out because I will be there someday. But yeah, so I want to have like a badass venture capital company, and then in my offices, I want to have like a media company where we have like content creators and like we own blogs and just stuff that's like really like high volume to get like, you know, and you just run like ads and partnerships. And like, imagine if you had like 100 creators that were like writing stuff, putting out YouTube videos, you could crank, you know, tens of millions of dollars in revenue just off of that stuff right there. And I want to do like profit shares with all my employees, so everyone gets rich. It's like, I'm going to create a dream factory essentially, where it's, I get to make a ton of money and I create the infrastructure for other people to build their dream as well. Because not everyone wants to start a business and not everyone wants to like take care of all the bullshit on the back end. So it's like, it can be win-win. Excuse me. But yeah, I want to have like a badass golf simulator, like a huge one. I want have like much cool cars you can park in there, like a whole like loft setup with like the offices. Like imagine like the Fantasy Factory, you know, you and I were talking about that, like Rob Dyrdek has, but I won't have like all like as much of the like
skateboard stuff
or motorcycle stuff. It'll be more just like stuff that I like a big old gym.
I like that a lot. And I like your idea with the media company too, because the fact of you're incentivizing people to want to work there and to put in like, you know, as best effort as they can, because they're going to get money back for their efforts.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for them to learn and grow in an environment and learn from like tons of other people who are doing it. And eventually if they want to go split off and do their own thing, like cool, right? There'll be a line of people like chomping at the bit to be able to get that opportunity
no
too.
Like I want people to go off and do their own thing. Like it's like, and you know, what's the saying? The world needs ditch diggers. And actually I've become very democratic about my belief in that. It's like, because the world does need, you know, people that are in like Fight Club, that like, or the people who wash your cars, or the people who, you know, build your XYZ and maintain your roads. Like a lot of those folks aren't going to be like really set up financially. So I actually have now adopted the belief that the people that do go out and like do well, or just the people that are like paying taxes, like a portion of that should take care of those people that have essentially enabled us to like live our lives in the pursuit of financial gain, whereas they may not have been ambitious enough. I don't know, whatever it is, but like, anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Where's I going with that? I have no idea.
I can give you an example of, I think, what you're leaning towards and the message you're trying to get across to people, of just like an idea of the way of thinking about something and making it fun and then putting that out there in the universe.
Oh, I was going to say, it's hard for me to understand why people wouldn't want to be more, have more, do more. Like that's how my brain has always worked. But like, there's nothing right or wrong about that. That's just right for me. But I've always done better with, you know, I work in middle management, in sales. And so I want people that like want to go into management. Like I know how to coach people like that. Like that's easy. I'm like, okay, cool. You want to grow? Let's go. And then people who want to stay stagnant, as long as they're growing monetarily, then that's another thing. But I don't know I don't understand people who don't want some sort of like growth or some sort of level of excellence. And so like, if anyone, like, you know, let's say I have this killer business and people want to go and move on, and I would be like, I'm rooting for you, dude. Like I'll be your first customer.
Well, I think to answer your question, like a lot of different people, different things make them happy. So some people can be content, you know, maybe just playing music outside for free for people. And it doesn't, you know, may bring them like little kind of tips and donations here and there, but, you know, probably nothing to survive on type of thing. But that's what internally makes that person happy. And that's what they enjoy and love doing every day. Then, you know, hey, more power to that person. For me personally, like I'm totally comfortable living in like a 500 or 600 square foot like apartment just because like to me that doesn't, my basic needs are taken care of, right? So I'm not like stressed or worried. Like I feel content, but at the same time I also am like, yeah, I want like more and things like that, but not sacrificing like time with my son or other things that would be important for me in the pursuit of that. But anyway,
yeah, I think you're super ambitious though, but it's interesting because it's not all about like wealth. It's not all about not monetary. It's not all about possessions and like luxury, right? Like for some people it is, but for others it's like yeah, I don't want like a freaking how do you people who have like a house that's like 8, 12, 15, 16,000 square feet. I'm like, what is the point of that? It's like your toilets break because you can't make enough shit out of your butthole in a month to poop in them or pee in them enough. And then the toilets need to be repaired because you're not flushing them ever. Or you have to have someone go around and flush them.
Or it's so massive you don't even visit. You're like, I haven't been to that wing of the house in 3 years.
Yeah. They're like, and dude, I'm always thinking about like, I was watching the show Silicon Valley. Gavin Belson's like the like Bezos. He's like Jeff Bezos level or like Mark Zuckerberg level at this company called Huli. And he has like the original garage where he started the business in his like billionaire house. So it's like a garage in a garage, and the garage could fit like 20 of these garages. And I'm just thinking like I want everything to be convenient and centralized. And if I have to like walk across my house to do something like 8 times a day, and it's like adds another like 20 minutes to my day, by the like after 10 years, that's like 6 weeks of my, this math is wrong here, but it's like 6 weeks of my life I toasted just walking through the house. Like that's, what a waste.
You need you need a Segway to get around your mansion if it's that big.
You gotta build a tram in your house just to freaking get around faster. Which would be super cool, by the way.
Get exactly your point you're making. Like me, I'd be cool with like 3 bedroom, 2 bath, right? Is for like the living part. But to me, I could easily come up with 10,000 square feet of rooms that actually serve purposes for activities of entertainment.
Really? Okay. Let's start naming them.
So for me, it would be like a home theater, a home gym, a library.
Let's call it 1,000 square foot a room. All right. So you got theater, gym.
Which I feel like a home gym, you could make more than 1,000 square feet probably easily. But yeah, that's good.
I think you can put a pretty nice gym in 1,000 square feet, but yeah, you could call that 2.
Like
let's just try to get 10 rooms.
A separate health or wellness kind of room that would include like a plunge pool, sauna, steam room, like a relaxation, like meditation type environment. Now, again, this is like you got a lot of money status, and like a hot tub, stuff like that. A library.
For sure.
Like, I guess in the library, this could be the same room, but like a fireplace area where you have like a giant table just for playing board games, like family game night, and just wall-to-wall cabinets with like as many board games you could possibly think of. And then another room that could just be, this could all be the same room, like a room that has table with lots of activities to do, whether it's games, like building Legos, Lincoln Logs, like just stuff to do with your kids.
We'll add another room. We'll
like
call it multi-purpose room. So now we're 5.
And then an arcade, and the arcade's going to be way bigger than 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
But that
can we get to 10 though? That's 6.
We're at 6. And then all
right, so let's say gym's 2K, arcade's 2K. So now you're at 8.
A man cave.
2,000 square foot left.
Mm-hmm. Like a man cave.
Man cave. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's like got like a kegerator, beer, shitload of TVs, like cool, like sports paraphernalia or something. Okay.
And then I think that would be it. Then obviously like a big garage, but the like, I don't understand places that have like 14, 15 bedrooms and like 15 bathrooms. Those don't make sense to me. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, plus, even if you have that, 10
guess
people
what?
Living there.
People want to come stay and live with you. Then you get this entourage, and then your money goes away quickly. But
I'm like so happy that I'm like a total loner. Like obviously I have Abby, and then I'll have kids eventually. But I have like my friendships are like, I have very few friends. I mean, I have friends, but it's like, it's a freaking, like, we have work, we have like families, and then like, how much free time do I have? And like, maintaining a friendship is a lot of work, especially if, like, I don't know, I feel like you and I are really like good friends and we're not needy. So like, there's not like a lot required to maintain the relationship, and we're both like good friends. I guess I need to be like, I have to have like very specific friends, but nonetheless, like, I'll never have an entourage because like, I don't want people around all the time. Like, I like being alone. That would be one thing cool about having like a somewhat bigger house, at least where you can like, because Abby and I both work from home. And so we're not like around each other, but we're like in close proximity. It would be neat to be like on opposite ends sometimes. And you're like, kind of feel like you're alone. I could see that being kind of neat, but you don't need 10,000 square feet for that. I could probably get away with. I don't even have like a frame reference. I feel like 4,000 square feet would be like a good size McMansion.
I think it depends on how the houses are laid out. 2 more rooms for you, because you just reminded me. Office, that'd be another, and
For sure.
a studio, like streaming podcasting room.
That would be sick, with like a content creation room. You got like podcast set up in there. You got a green screen, lighting. You could do like any media related activities in there.
And that would probably be a separate from the house, right? So if you want to bring guests or people like actually buy your property, they don't have to go in your main residence, you know, so there's more of a comfort level.
It's like, and then you can like go to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. Like, I want to like go to work, but I'm going to like get in a golf cart. I want to get like a monster truck golf cart, or like something hilarious, like a SUV golf cart. Maybe it looks like a Escalade or like a F-150. And I'll like drive that like 3 minutes to the building in my backyard.
So to give you an idea of something, I know, like we had talked about I think in the last podcast, like favorite, like dream places to go. And you had said Italy. And I was like, for me, it'd be Ireland, right? Like Ireland, Scotland, go to the UK. And we're like, hell yeah, we're going together. Like, you're down to go. So for me, the exercise we're talking about in this podcast is like, I would think about like visualizing like us going there, right? So we're going on private jet for sure. Like, just the 2 of us, we're hanging out. And then, as like, obviously this won't be a surprise now, but I was thinking like surprise you would be like when we're in Scotland, we just roll up at St. Andrews and be like, yeah, we're playing.
That would be cool, dude.
Just us, like, or playing like 2 other, you know, like mystery guests basically, as like,
oh, you're so generous.
The play on the course. So I think something like that, right? Like, to me, it's fun to think about that, and it puts a smile on my face and gets me excited. And I'm just imagine Joe's face if we just rolled up and we're like, hey, yeah, we're going to play like 18 on St. Andrews. Like, you don't need your clubs. Like, the pro shop's got clubs for us.
Oh, and like brand new clubs, like the rep from like TaylorMade's there or something.
Yes.
That'd be so effing cool. And they're like fitted to like our size. Like, you like measured me in my sleep or something weird.
Oh, and Rory McIlroy is joining us today, or whoever, right, is going to play with us. And like, we're just going to shoot the shit and like drink beers. And then you'd be like, well, why would he join you today? Well, when you start getting those levels and you're donating, well, guess what? Donate a shit ton of money to his charity. So he's here to play in the foursome as a thanks. You know what I mean? Like, those are the kind of favors and things like that you start swinging and make happen.
Because then you're like in those circles where you can orchestrate that. So that's a really interesting thing, though. And I appreciate the generosity of that gift, by the way. I'm really excited for that. But like, I've never even thought to do that, because a lot of and I don't know if this is me personally or just it's just kind of the way that it's structured when we learn about the attracting. It's very like self-serving, but I don't ever think about all the nice things I can do for others. And I love it. I love like gift giving. Like, I will like buy, like, if I get you a present, dude, I'm going to like, and it's for your birthday, like, I'll spoil it. I'll be like, hey, I got you this.
You got me this
like,
amazing
I suck
microphone.
At secrets because I'm so excited to give the present. Yes. You know what I mean?
You got me this amazing microphone here. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It sounds really good. But
I'm
no,
glad.
like that is totally something to add to like anyone's arsenal, is especially if you like giving. And since giving is such a powerful attraction tool, you could even, because your brain doesn't know it's real or not, right? It's like athletes will imagine running their own races and the muscles will actually fire. So you could even simulate the good feelings of giving such a like that's a once in a lifetime gift, right? And you can facilitate those types of experiences when you are kind of in that position of, you know, success. So that's a really cool thing to use in like an attraction session.
So that's one example that I thought, and it was just like, I know you said, you know, go to the Guinness factory and
Dude,
have a beer.
Every time we
was
talk
on my
about it, I
bucket
want
list
to like,
already
drink
too.
Guinness.
Yeah. So I'm like, and then we talked about it more, and I want to keep going because you were like, yeah, I just want to go to some like random, like small pub, like off the beaten path. And I was like, yes. And sing fucking drinking songs. And
dude, how do other countries have such cool songs? We don't have any songs.
The US got none. I don't know. Just like the soccer.
I guess
games.
we have like Small Town Girl and stuff like that, or Don't Stop Believing.
I've never been.
But they have songs that like they all know
sing like
nationally.
That. Yes, that's what I want. Like a small place and just like, you know, like I don't know, pub sandwich and just throwing back some Guinnesses with some locals, which I think we could both fit in with the, you know, the red we got going on in our beards and things like that. The airport stopover I had in Shannon, Ireland, on my way back from deployment, they did let us go in the airport because we needed to go shave. Some of us who get like 5 o'clock shadow at noon every fucking day, like, hey, make sure you go in the bathroom with your hygiene bag and like get a fresh shave going on.
Oh, because they don't want you to be seen looking unkempt in uniform. Okay,
yeah, because you know the flight's like, I don't know, like 12 hours from Kuwait to like Europe to refuel, and then like another, you know, like 7 or 8 hours back to the States. But anyway, we get in the airport. Haven't seen a woman in like, I don't know, like 6 months, because there's no
chicks over there.
There's no women in the infantry. I don't think there are any infantry anymore, but now they've allowed combat arms. But on our base, I think there was like 5 women, like 2 in the laundry, like a medic, and then like an interpreter and some mechanic or whatever.
Did they have like 800 boyfriends?
Yeah, the medic chick, she was like, had to stay on base in the clinic and was like hounding them, like, I want to go out on like patrol, like please rotate me out with one of the male medics. So they were like, all right, we'll test it, like you can go out with the scouts. But then I guess she had sex with like every single one, like 100 of them in their unit. And her plan was like try to make it through the whole base of like 500 dudes, but she got pulled back to the clinic quickly
when they found out about this.
Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, yeah, you see
when in Rome
chicks occasionally, but like the mechanic one, they had her come out like with us for some missions every now and then to like, in case the vehicle broke down, whatever. But, and I remember she showing up, she had this shotgun with her, and we're like, what are you going to do with that? And she's like, oh, I'm about to go out on like patrol with you. And we're laughing. We're like, you're staying in the vehicle. Like you're not getting out. Like we don't want to have to watch after you either. And not that women can't do that job. I've met plenty of women. Like when I went to airborne school, there was a female Marine that was there in airborne school, because you get all the branches come to the Army airborne school because there's the only one for all of them. Oh, she could hold her own like all day, no problem.
Yeah,
and there's
this person just wasn't
but
really
this mechanic,
trained for
she was
this type
not
of job.
one of those at all. And
okay.
We did have her like pat down some of the females like in houses where research or whatever, because more like appropriate, right? Like we don't touch the females because the men you'll create like 10 more terrorists if you're a male and you touch the women. Anyway.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So we'd bring her to like pat down, or we'd have a female interpreter who was, I think, from the Kurd northern part of Iraq. So they're like very pro US. But anyway.
So you're in the airport.
So we get to Shannon, Ireland, and we walk there, and I get out of the bathroom, and I'm looking in they have a little gift shop. So I think I buy some snacks, and the gal behind the counter, I'm like, like the most bright, like orange hair and like deep green eyes and like red freckles, like total stereotypical, like what you would think of someone who's Irish not being there before. And then starts talking, and her accent is like very thick and everything like that. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is like really turning me on right now. I don't know. I don't know if this is doing it for anyone else, but it's doing it for me. So anyway,
I love an Irish accent.
Yes.
They're cool.
I like the accents a lot.
I think I was at a bar one time, and I wound up being like, at the bar top, and there was an Irish guy next to me, and I was like, the drunker I got, I started like developing a man crush on him purely because of his accent. I was like, I like your accent. He's like, I get that a lot. And I think he was like, okay, yeah, let's not have this conversation, please. He was super cool though. What's really interesting too is that in Ireland, the average height of dudes is like 6'2".
Oh,
Like,
really?
they're a very tall, and this dude was freaking tall. I mean, like I'm like 5'9" in my shoes on, so he was like way taller than me. But like, a dude was interesting. I mean, I feel like, especially people that are from countries like that are over here and that are just like living a life, tend to be just doing, I don't know. I just remember I'd be like, okay, he had like an interesting job. Yeah, I would love to go to Ireland. I used to love Guinness. I don't drink a lot of beer anymore. It makes me like craft beer I love, but like the hangovers from craft beer, I'm just like bloated. And then like, I don't know. Dude, this is so lame, but I've been drinking a ton of Aperol spritzes. Like, I like mow those down. I love them.
I don't think that's lame.
Prosecco and soda water, and with like a lemon or a orange. And dude, they are so delicious.
That sounds really good. I'm gonna have to try one of those. I drink
They're
maybe
unbelievably refreshing.
1 beer a week. That's why I'm like, I'm not gonna drink a Bud or a Coors Light. Like, beer pong days are over when you're throwing back, like, you know, have a rack off and, you know, first person to finish their whole case, like your team wins. Yeah, those days are done for me. So now I'm just like, hell yeah, if I'm at 1 beer, I want to be a Guinness, which I laugh when I see those beer commercials that they're like, oh, 90 calories. I'm like, a Guinness 110 calories, like 20 calories.
Yeah, it's not high calorie beer.
There's a bunch of vitamins and shit in there for you. It's actually really beneficial for you. You should just drink a Guinness.
Like, give it to pregnant women or something.
Probably.
There's something where like it's good for like babies or pregnant women. That sounds crazy, but it like does something because it has like nutrients.
This is not medical
I don't know
advice.
if I read about that or I saw it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. If you're pregnant, you should not consume alcohol.
To your point, there are some nutrients in it. But yeah, long story short, yeah, I like the so just figuring out what you're gonna do, and what spurred the conversation is, I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, what if I won the lottery in one lump sum? And I literally started getting anxious. I was like, what the hell would I do with my life? And then I was like, oh God, I need to figure this out or I'm going to stay on this goddamn like hamster wheel forever. And so that kind of spurred, you know, it was like good anxiety. It spurred the need for me to figure out, okay, well, what are those things that I could attract, that I could think about? What are the things that I could probably already do? And then I really like that you added the gift giving thing. Like, there's so much cool stuff you could do for people that you care about. And like, that's really neat. I'm definitely going to incorporate that. Oh, and this, I wanted to mention this. So, you know, I do like gratitude priming in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I just finished this book called, what the hell is it called? It's one of those Seth books where that lady, Jane Roberts, channels the multidimensional consciousness. It's another one though. It's got The Nature of Personal Reality. And so it's like more of like a practical applications of like exercises that you can do as this supposed multidimensional being to like help you like rewrite your beliefs and attract the life that you want. And there's this whole thing. Oh my God, my fucking back started made me forget what I was talking about. There's this whole thing where even though you might have certain beliefs, they might be blocked by what you believe about yourself. And so there's this exercise where you go through and you kind of like write all those like negative beliefs about yourself, but then you go over here and then you write about all the positive beliefs. So I've already done the negative one. Well, that's been done for a while. So now I go in and in the mornings I've been just like writing like accomplishments or like things I'm good at. And it could be dumb shit. Like, I'm good at cooking. Like, I make a mean PB&J. Like, I'm nice to people. I make people feel good. You know, I'm kind of funny, like stuff like that. And like, man, I did that the last couple of days. It primed the shit out of the day. I was just feeling good. Like, it's a very cool, definitely self-indulgent exercise. But even I found that it's almost like the base layer. If I can experience an overwhelming amount of gratitude, but I'm still not feeling worthy in areas, I'm blocking the things that I want to be grateful for. So I think that is almost like the layer that needs to be fixed before you can even go into like the gratitude and things like that. So that's what I've been working on lately, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. And you bring up two good points. One is like, you have to be appreciative of what you currently have in order to, from the stuff that I've read and heard, in order to move like up right to the next levels of like receiving. If you're not appreciative for what you have, and it could be the smallest things, like you could have next to nothing, the fact like you're alive, or that like you're breathing healthy air, or you have clean water to drink, or like indoor plumbing. I mean, you name it, right? You can start with some pretty like basic things that a lot of people take for granted in the modern world, and like first worlds that they don't have in a lot of third world countries. So I think people can start doing that, like you said, like the gratitude at that level, and then that'll help boost you up. And then the other point that I like that you mentioned is when you said you started thinking about this, like what would I do? And you started getting anxious. And I think that's good to point out, is like identifying blockers, right? Because if you're getting anxious and worried about like thinking of having a large sum of money, that's like blocking that from happening, right? Because then you're saying that message out like, whoa, this is traumatizing or scary to me. Like, no. But if it's the opposite, like even doing this exercise, if you feel that way, but eventually it becomes like where you enjoy thinking of like creative, fun gift ideas or things you would do for people. Now it's enjoyable. Now it's exciting. Now, whenever you think about it, it brings you joy. It's bringing you really good, like high vibrational energy, emotions and feelings that are at the upper levels of vibrational energy. That's when those blockers are gone. And that's when the universe is like, oh yeah, you ready? Here you go. Here's 100 million. There you go. Like your
ego gets out of your way. And then especially like you said, it's like once you get in that frequency, then you don't need to, I mean, it's helpful to keep reinforcing it with those similar visualizations and imaginings and stuff. But then if you just feel good, it could be unrelated. You've already moved that type of thing into the good space. So anything that feels good is now attracting more of that stuff, which now is those things, the giving like positive gifts or like having this abundance of time and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. And you don't need to have money to be nice to people. It's free to be nice to people. So
that's free.
There's things you can start doing now to like practice these, or even like sending you could pick one person a day that you either, like I do this sometimes through work, is I'll just send someone a message, whether it's a recruiter or like someone in compliance, in an email or a Teams message. And I'll just tell them like, hey, I just want to reach out and say like, I hope you're having a great day. I think you're an amazing person because of this. And like, I appreciate these things that
TSP, truthful specific compliments.
And I was like, I just appreciate that you do this for the company. And I've seen that you're working long hours and you're on late at night and like early in the morning, you're always quick to respond to people. And then sometimes I'll also just be like, here's $5 Starbucks gift card with it. Like, I just want to say thanks. And the responses I get back from people are like very warming and like is touching. And I'm not like doing it because I'm like, like I want them to say like great things back. It's just, I know when people do that for me, it feels really amazing. And to like provide that to someone, a lot of times people are like, you just made my week. Or like, I was having a shit day and now my day's amazing. Like I really appreciate, because a lot of times people just want to be recognized, right? For like the hard work that they do. And those are simple things that you can do that don't cost you any money and take a few minutes out of your day.
You just talking about that. And then I'm thinking about a time when someone did that to me. It made, and you just talking about doing it in general made me feel good. Like that stuff feels so good. So that's awesome. So we're at our hour mark here. Definitely got a lot of stuff that we chatted about. I definitely want to explore more about these underwater force fields. I don't want to get murdered. So maybe we have to be covert about how we discuss it, but that shit is fascinating. Like we should definitely go deeper into that at some point.
Yeah. If you're interested, I can definitely like make sure I actually have the information, the names and more details like that. And there's actually a video clip of him saying that.
That's just crazy, especially when someone that high profile gets KO'd. I'm like, you must have done something really, really egregious or like really where they don't want the info to get out for them to like kill a celebrity or like someone who's like really in a position of power or position of media outlet. Mm-hmm. Like that is like, you have crossed a line that is like, that's like no turning back from. But yeah, any final words here for the squad?
One quick thing I would add, I guess this could be my final thing. If you don't believe that that happens to people who are finding things they shouldn't be finding or they don't want out, look how many people have come up with creative ways of like new engines that run on water or like hydrogen that don't require fossil fuels or gasoline. So people either get bought out the patents, right? Like the oil companies will buy them and shelf the patents, or they threaten them, or they straight up just murder them. So there's a recent example of a guy who worked as a security guard. He was like a retired engineer or something like that in his free time, basically built like a hydrogen combustion engine in his garage or something crazy that ran on like water. Some psycho person drove like 3 hours to upstate Pennsylvania or New York or something like that, did a shooting at the grocery store he worked at and killed like 3 people. But who was the person that got killed was him. And it was only a couple months after he'd been on the local news talking about his invention and ideas. So it's like, was that a random grocery store shooting, or that dude got taken out because they don't want that shit out there?
Oh, but it can't be like targeted. It's like the people that unfortunately were the innocent bystanders were part of the cover up. And
if you don't believe that kind of shit happens, there's literally a movie with Tom Cruise, the Jack Reacher. I think it's the second one, right? Whereas like
that's about that.
There's like a guy who used to be like a sniper in the military, and he gets framed for like some crime, but really they made it look like it was some crazy person just randomly shooting people like out in the open. But really there was one person in there that was the target that they wanted to take out, and they covered it up by making it look like it was just some crazy dude who snapped.
Dude, I'm never inventing anything.
You can do it. It's just like you got to put it all out there for free, and like you just, yeah, you got to.
If anyone approaches me with a massive buyout, it's theirs. Like, just so you guys know, if anyone wants to buy anything I invent for like a 10x multiple, I will sell it to you.
So what would you be your final takeaway, Joe?
Yeah, I just think the biggest thing is like having that knowledge is super important. Like it didn't even occur to me until I was like, I had a bunch of free time to think, and then I was talking to someone about winning the lottery, and I was like, I think the lottery right now, the lump sum would be like, no, I was listening to the radio. The lump sum would be like $335 million. And I was like, what the hell would I do if I had $335 million? And I was like, shit, I have no idea. Like, I'm not afraid to have the money, but the fear was, oh dude, I don't even like have a plan for that. So like, how the hell can I attract it if I don't even like know what I would do when I have it? And so I'm glad that I had the thought. So I think, just whatever your goal is, don't just think about what you need to do to get your goal or what it's going to be like, all the cool, like, oh, I'm going to have this car and all that. But like, what are you going to fill your time with? Like, you're going to have so much free time. And I don't know about you guys, I get really bored really easily, and I don't want to play video games every day for 12 hours. So that's, I think, the next level of, okay, how do I envision what a real day-to-day in this life is? Because all the fun shit you're going to do, even if you spend 2 years traveling and all this crap, you always go back to baseline, right? Like you'll be happier because all of your bullshit problems will be gone. But most people will eventually normalize it's like even people who are like lose their limbs go back to the same level of happiness. People who get a ton of money go back to the same level of happiness, maybe plus or minus 5%, let's call it. And so then like, what's your life going to be like? And that I think could be a good thought exercise for people. Well, cool.
I love
this has been fun. Till next time, make sure you like and subscribe. If you have any topics you'd like to hear, let us know. Any questions, leave it in the comments, and we will talk to you guys later.